Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Something Something podcast. My name is Eric Kasloff, and Larry, hello.
Hello, Eric. And now, welcome to the Something Something podcast. And now, your host, Eric Kasloff.
And his buddy Larry.
That's right. You guys, if you guys listen back to our podcast, you'll understand what that's from. I just did my little Ed McMahon bit.
Well, this is going to go up right after. I keep wanting to say Vincent, but what was it again?
Oh, Vicente. He was our park ranger. Yes, the author. Yes.
Basically, I tried to convince Larry, dear listeners, that it's awesome to be Ed McMahon.
It is. And then you figure out, wait a minute, he was a sidekick. But you know, there's a lot of cool sidekicks. Mermaid Man, Barnacle Boy. There's Robin. There's Harley Quinn. There's Superboy. Never mind. Let's just move on. So how you doing, Eric?
I'm doing really well, Larry. You said earlier you had something big you wanted to talk about on the
yes.
The podcast.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things, one of our podcasts a bit earlier, it was with a film festival. It was a smartphone film festival. And this is what I wanted to talk to you about. I just booked a gig. I'm shooting a trailer using smartphones and iPads.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And when I he was like, oh, well, it's just like an iPhone. And he goes, because this was in the email, he goes, ... And he goes, I know. I said, no, man, this is great. Excellent. Because we just talked to in Australia.
You're breaking up.
So, yeah.
Can you repeat that?
I am. Yes. And, when I was talking to him, and he was kind of like almost shy about letting me know that we were going to use iPhones and iPads. And I was like, no, man, that's great. Because that's the creativity of it all, and we're going to be shooting on the beach and stuff. And so, we can do some pretty cool stuff and like do the guerrilla filmmaking thing. So, awesome, and actually get away with it because people are really like, oh, you guys are taking selfies. But that was my big thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because the software dropped for a second.
Okay.
But we're still recording.
Okay, cool. Well, and how is everything going with you?
Larry, things are going really well. The Hillsborough Road script process is going great. And may I be Segway Sam for this evening?
You absolutely may.
All right. Now, Larry, every now and then as a filmmaker, you get really, really jaded when it comes to movies. But then you see that one movie that's similar to what you want to do. And it's like, hey, you know what? This could work. This could actually work. And that happened for me with this little movie called The Barn. It is a throwback to 1980s slasher movies, fun horror movies like Night of the Creeps and stuff like that. I saw the trailer for it and was hooked. And after that, Larry, I bought it on Blu-ray, DVD. Then I got the other movie that this guy was a part of called 31, like 1031, I believe. I'm just giddy right now with excitement over the
I can tell.
And I bought
that's good.
TV and VCR combo so I can purchase The Barn on videotape, Larry. And our guest is the man behind all of this awesomeness, and his name is Justin Seaman. Thank you so much for being on the show, Justin.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Okay, so first off, for people like Larry and others who don't know what The Barn's about and everything that went into it, will you please explain the movie?
Yeah, so kind of like what you said, it's a throwback to 80s slasher films. This was my take on the supernatural monster. Kind of going back to like the what lurks in the dark. For childhood. From your childhood. It focuses around a character named Sam who's obsessed with Halloween and this legend called the Barn, and it's basically just the last. What I say in the film is the last hoorah for these two friends, Sam and his buddy Josh, and they decide to take a trip to go see a concert, and they get detoured on the way, and they end up awakening this ancient evil in this barn of this legend. And it was something I wrote when I was a kid, and for many years I wanted to adapt it into a film, and never had the funds or the time or the really the knowledge to pull off what I wanted to do until about 2013 when I actually had the chance to make the movie. So the movie, it was a real struggle to make. It took about 2 years to do, cost a lot of money, considering for low budget films, more than what I thought I would have to spend to make it. And I didn't think anybody would ever watch it. It was kind of just a personal passion project. And when we finished it, we did a premiere in Pittsburgh, and we sold out 2 shows in 2 nights. We sold about 1,000 seats, and we had a lot of good feedback, so we decided to do the festival circuit. And when we did that, the movie went on the festival circuit for over a year, and it toured around the world, and it played in over 100 fests and won about 70 awards at those. And we were still blown away that people were going to this and wanting to see it. And then we had previous to that, we had done an Indiegogo campaign, so we were obligated to put out the movie on DVD. So, we knew we had to do that, and we did. And since that day, which was back in the day we released it was November 27th, 2016, is when we finally put it out for everybody to pick up. Since that day, we have not had a day that we haven't sold a copy.
Wow.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it's the last time, we've got to be close to 600 days now, and that's just,
Jeez,
I'm
man.
proud of that. That's,
Yeah, congratulations.
there's days where there's only, well, thank you. There's days there's only one. There's days like today where we sell like 6 or 7, and you just never know. But, so yeah, the film that I never thought anybody would want to watch found an audience, and they've embraced it, and they've loved it and liked it. And the people who haven't loved it and liked it, that's fine, because it wasn't for them. But yeah, I was very fortunate. So it's been a very, very fun ride here with the Barn.
Yeah, interesting story I wanted to mention. You played in the New Jersey HorrorCon earlier this year, or was it near the end of last year?
It was in September of last year.
Yeah, my short played at the first New Jersey HorrorCon, so I missed being able to meet you by a few months. I was really bummed about that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, you were there when John Strayton played with A Night of Something Strange.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I talked to him for a while. He's so nice.
Yes, he's a great guy. Super into helping other filmmakers. I can't give him enough credit for guiding me through some of this stuff too.
Very, very cool. And Night of Something Strange is an awesome movie that everyone should go buy right now. Don't watch it on Shudder. Go buy it. Support independent horror.
Yeah, for sure.
Amen to that. This is a character study in how to just do it and put it out and see what people think. And it actually grew, what it sounds like, it grew and grew by word of mouth. Is that correct?
Yeah. When it started, I had a hard time getting people involved back in 2013. Even the casting, we had a lot of people, submit for it because it was paid roles, but just trying to get people there. They just didn't want to do it because they thought it was stupid. At the time, a lot of people weren't into 80s stuff or thought it was kind of phased out or it was a waste of time.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it was really a struggle. And then afterwards, once the poster came out and the trailer, then it was like they came out of the woodwork, and like the people who like that kind of stuff were contacting us every single day, like, have you seen filming? Do you need a composer? Do you have special effects artists? I was like, man, why couldn't I have found these people like a year before?
Right.
Word of mouth, it just took off. And, I didn't have any contacts with horror sites. I didn't know anybody, and it was just like wildfire. It just kind of spread where people started like tagging me and stuff, saying like, "Oh, you're on Fangoria, you're on Bloody Disgusting, you're on Rue Morgan." I'm just like, wow, like I don't know how this stuff got picked up, but then it was like they just kept track of it as the production went on, and the film was going through the festival circuit and all that. Like, it was coming on Facebook.
Hey, Justin,
Instagram,
can you
Twitter.
talk more into your phone, please? It's getting a little hard to hear you.
Oh, is it? Let me put it on speaker. How's that?
Oh, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, basically just social media, word of mouth took over. I didn't really do much myself. I made posts. We tried to keep things updated, like on our site and our pages. But yeah, it was basically the people stumbling upon the poster art and the trailer that really got it going.
Yeah,
That's very cool. It's funny you say that. Once the poster came out and the trailer, then everybody's like all up on it. I tell you, man, there must be a lot of work over there in where is it, Pittsburgh? Because man, if I went to that audition, I'd be like, heck yeah, let's do it. Next time you do something, please let me know. I'll come audition for you. I'll fly out there. I'll
sure,
send a
man.
tape from LA. So absolutely, because I think that is the most frustrating, because everybody complains, oh man, I wish this, I wish I could be an actor, I wish I could work more, I wish. And then when the opportunity comes, they're like, yeah, but it's not the right one. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yep. So I share your frustration and your pain. And obviously, it's one of those things that I guess you have to deal with it and get on with it, because stuff like that makes for great stories, So
yes, it does. At the time, it's a bummer, and you're not thinking about that. But when it's all said and done, you can look back and go, yeah, I'm glad that worked out the way it did, because it is kind of like an underdog tale.
Yep, absolutely. Now let's go, before we get in like a little bit deeper. How did you first come up with the idea of the barn?
Yeah, so well, I came up with the idea in '93, and in '93 I was in third grade. So that was that was kind of like the pinnacle highlight of Goosebumps. So I wanted to do my own Goosebumps tale, but I was obsessed with 80s horror films, or the horror films of when I was growing up. So I wanted to have that kind of vibe to it. So it's very much, it's like Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps infused with 80s slasher monsters. And I wrote it in '93 as like just a small storybook. And over the years, I wanted to adapt it, and we were going to make it when I was in high school, and then we scrapped it and decided to do a short film that's actually on the bonus features of the DVD and the Blu-ray. It's called All Hallows Eve, and it's just about the boogeyman one night going out and killing a kid on Halloween night. And so that's as far as we got with it. And then as years went on, I went through college. We discussed maybe doing it as a group, and then that didn't happen. And in 2013. Right after I had seen a movie called The Sleeper, and I was just it really captured to me what I was wanting to do with my own movie, and seeing another filmmaker do it inspired me to take the leap and finally say there's an audience for something like this, and I think it could work because this person's doing it. So I I guess it would probably been January of 2013, I started pre-production. And then we started building sets and casting and just everything. Because I had the script written. I had updated the script from being a kid's story to more adult themed. And so that's kind of how it happened. I never really thought I'd get to make the movie. It was just kind of a pipe dream, if you will.
It is kind of funny, like watching the trailer, which we'll have a link in the description and things, but watching the trailer, it does have that Goosebumps feel. So and just you, when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, it clicked. so when everybody watches it, they'll get, oh yeah, it's cool. So I mean, actually, man, just congratulations for actually doing it and putting it together and putting it out there and seeing it through. So congratulations on that. You're welcome.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about like, so from you started production or shooting until you actually got around to editing it or finishing it, there was a couple of years, right?
Yeah. So what happened was we budgeted like around 20 days total. We thought we could shoot the bulk of the movie in about 12 to 13, and then the rest would be pickup shots, kind of just when we had time. And we were shooting it in October, and that October ended up being like one of the coldest Octobers in years. And yeah, and it actually ended up snowing like on Halloween. So it was just a disaster. Like anything that could go wrong went wrong. And
but that's
and
the
by
story
the time we were
every good movie.
Yeah. Well, at the time it was awful because I thought our entire budget, we spent it, and we didn't have a finished movie. And I was, this was my mistake being like a first time filmmaker on something this big, because I had done other films, just nothing like this and to this degree. And we were shooting days and days in a row, like almost like a week straight at one point before we had to actually take a break because of like the rain and stuff, because the movie takes place like 90% outside. And so there's just a lot of issues I was having with hired crew and stuff. And when we got to like the end of like the 13 days, because actors' contracts were coming up, and that was kind of the end of it for them. I finally was like, I thought for sure the movie's not going to get finished because we had so much left to shoot, and I didn't know like how I was going to get it done. And I ended up going back and finally taking the time to start checking out the footage, and that's when I started seeing like a lot of the footage was out of focus or was underlit. And that's my fault. That's my fault for not checking dailies. But like I said, I didn't know what I was getting into, and I put a lot of trust in people. And now moving forward, I know to always check the footage, every night. And but I mean, we were going on like 16, 18-hour days some days, and and then coming right back, after like about 4 hours of sleep and picking up again, and it was exhausting. But so I didn't think it'd get done, and thankfully, like after that winter, a lot of the crew that was there for the right reasons, and the cast members started contacting me, and they just wanted to know, what's the status of the film, when's it going to be out? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. We didn't finish shooting it. I don't know if you guys know like how, they didn't really, because, these were all a lot of first time actors doing like bigger things. They'd done like short films before. I think that they were just kind of all caught up in it because we were shooting the ending and then the middle and then the beginning, so I don't know if they were in their mind, they weren't like piecing things together like I would, knowing the whole film and having the vision. Yeah. So they were like, and I'm like, guys, we didn't even shoot a lot of what you needed to be in. And a lot of the stuff we did shoot needs to be reshot. So I just don't know how it's possible. I have no money, and pretty much everybody came back for free. And we picked up with, what we needed to, and then finished what we needed to. So that's why it took 2 years. Because, we came back and we basically shot for another year, like on the weekends when we could, and when, because people had moved away, and it was a lot of scheduling and just craziness,
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. A lot of people listening to this right now that are like into filmmaking and filmmakers in general, and they've been through what you've been through. Because no matter if it's a short or if it's a feature or a music, I guess not a music video, but any kind of anything you
Do they still make music videos?
Yes, sometimes. But any time you put your effort into it, whether it be short form, long form, it's always, oh gosh, man, there's not enough time and there's not enough money. But the people, everybody was in it for the right reasons. They came back because they wanted to see it through. And that's the good part, that's a super good part. So when did you start doing your marketing plan? Air quotes, your marketing plan, or did you have a marketing plan?
So, well, here's what happened. It was during the reshoots, and we were reshooting scenes in the part of the Hootenanny Massacre, and I had the main cast around me. It was Lexi and Mitch and Will, and we were all kind of sitting on some hay bales in between takes, and we were talking, and they said, like, so what's the plan to like get noticed? And I said, man, I really don't know. There's so many independent movies out there. I was like, and we're low budget, and it's going to be really tough to get noticed. And I said, but the only thing I can think of, because of the style of this film and what I am trying to emulate, I said, I've always wanted to make action figures and board games and a video game and stuff. I said, so I think I'm going to try that. And they were like, how? And I said, I don't know. I'll figure it out, and so they kind of like gave me the look like, yeah, right. Like, this guy ain't going to do that. And, and when I went into post-production, I just started, reaching out to people and trying to make connections. And my friend, Mark, he was the assistant director. He's a huge board game collector and player. And so when I started telling him about the board game idea, we both sat down and we designed the board game and all the playing and all that, and then we hired an artist to do it, and then we found a company that makes board games. You can do customizations for it. So that's how we did that. And we found a company out of Philadelphia that was just getting into making mobile video games, and they specialized in 8-bit. So I was like, that's perfect. And and it just kind of snowballed from there. As people caught on to what I was doing, people started contacting me and wanting to get involved because they thought it was cool and they wanted to see have their name attached to it. And so what started out as kind of like an idea of hopefully marketing this movie enough to sell it in case it sucks, if I couldn't make it the way I wanted to, actually helped it in the long run and stayed true to the vision I had. So yeah, I mean, I that wasn't the plan out the gate to do that. It was kind of like, oh man, how am I going to salvage this and make it marketable where people would want to buy it and watch it off the marketing alone. And then thankfully the movie turned out just as fun as all the merchandise.
That's cool. That's cool.
Agree to all of that, because I was an outsider looking into all of this, and you were really ahead of the game when it came to the 80s. Yeah, sure, they were ahead of the game. Sure, there was things like House of the Devil and The Sleeper, which is awesome, by the way, but the 80s throwback movie stuff didn't really break till about, was it a year ago when it came out? Now every
now I was say between.
Oh, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I just say between it and Stranger Things.
Yeah,
that's what really helped, I think, find the Barn audience.
Yeah, because I really feel people who like Stranger Things, the Barn, would be really, accessible to them, because it's scary, but it's not going to put you into a fit of fear, hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
So I could watch it with my eyes open.
No, you couldn't. I'm going to be honest. I don't think you could handle it. Justin, one of the big jokes on the show is Larry cannot handle horror movies at all. And I constantly ridicule him for it.
Well, but it went so far as we did an episode where they did like the horror Christmas. Yeah. We did like a countdown, like the 10 best horror holiday theme for Christmas. They did horror, and then of course I did Hallmark Channel. So, so anyway,
do you watch a lot of Hallmark movies?
I can't hear you. It's breaking up. Yes, I do.
So do I.
You do?
I'll admit it. I would do anything to make a Hallmark movie.
Did you have you ever seen one? Have you ever seen a Hallmark movie called A Kiss at Midnight?
A Kiss at Midnight. I probably have. Yeah.
That was when I had my internship for the with the Emmys when I was in college, and I got to go work with Hallmark, and that was one of the first films I worked on out there when I was. So it was really fun because I was surprised to see how many people that were involved with Hallmark Channel productions that were from the horror world. So it was like, it was really, really cool. Like on that film, I don't know his name, but in the film he played like the ranch hand, like he had the horses, but he was the fisherman. He was the fisherman killer from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
No way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
and then
great.
the casting director, she was actually the same casting director that she did a lot of horror films, but the one that made me the most excited was that she did the Monster Squad.
Ooh.
And then the production, I think it was the line producer who was there. She was actually the script supervisor on the original Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, the director, his name was Bradford May, and he was the director of photography for the Monster Squad. So that was like awesome because he had so many stories, but he was also the director of, I think, Darkman 2 and 3 and just a bunch of other cool stuff. And but it was so cool because like I can't think of his name right now. I could see his face. The guy who played Roach from People Under the Stairs.
Okay, yeah.
He was there. He was like a cameo in the show. So it was like every day I came on set, I saw somebody else from like a horror movie, you know, and it was just because I'm going to be honest with you, it was cool to work on a Hallmark channel, but you know, being a horror fan, I kind of hoped that I would have got something else being there, you know, but it never felt like being on a Hallmark channel movie, you know, but it was a great experience.
That's cool. That's very cool.
To piggyback on that, before we get into questions, always remember Nick Castle, the original Michael Myers, directed the Dennis the Menace movie.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. He totally did. Hey, you guys want to know what other awesome things Nick Castle did besides kill a lot of teenagers?
What?
He also directed The Last Starfighter, The Boy Who Could Fly, and was one of the writers on Hook.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy's had an amazing career, and he's coming back to play Michael Myers, I think in 1 or 2 scenes in this year's Halloween documentary that's coming out in October. But there's something else coming out in October that's going to be really, really awesome that Justin is a part of. Can you explain what that is to everybody?
Yeah, so there's a website called bloodyflicks.uk, and I believe his name is Paul Downey. He's the director. He wanted to basically take a bunch of interviews and from current indie filmmakers, you know, on the indie scene, and just get their thoughts on how Halloween inspired them to want to make horror films. So he reached out to me, and I did one, and he's had a lot of people in it. There's a lot of people that I think if you're familiar with what's going on in the low budget indie scene, you'll notice a lot of people. It's really interesting, and it's cool to hear how this film has influenced this generation of filmmakers. You know, because it's something that we all kind of strive that we want to have that story that, you know, we made our own Halloween basically. And it's coming out this October. I think it's going to be free, streaming free. And I don't know what the plans are after that, if he's going to do anything physical or not.
Very cool. And something you said interesting that I want to touch on is it seems like we're in a horror renaissance right now. I mean, every year the big studios are giving us at least 1 or 2 good horror movies, but man, the indie horror scene is just jumping right now, and I'm loving it. Like, you know, with The Barn, Night of Something Strange, Daniel Benedict's movie, The Bloody Man, looked really, really awesome.
Yeah.
So, why do you think that is? Why is it always? What is it about the indie scene that you think is striving so hard right now? Is it just fan backlash from all the remake craze that went on a while ago, or what?
No, I think that's exactly it. I think that a lot of people are, they want to see something new, and Hollywood just keeps putting out the same thing. And and you don't have limitations when you're doing indie, other than your budget. But you can pretty much tell any story you want, and you don't have a rating over top of you, and you know that your film's not going to be theatrical, and you can get into film fest, and it's just you definitely have to appreciate filmmaking, and I think a filmmaker would appreciate it the most. But it's indie films are not for everybody. It's it's definitely its own genre type of film. It's just like if a romance or a horror film or an action film isn't for everyone. So for whatever reason, though, I mean, when I first started the indie scene, as far as horror films were concerned, there wasn't a ton happening coming out all at once. And yeah, you're right. And just like in the last 2 years, it's really picked up. I see it everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
So
sure.
it's nice. It's really nice.
We got cool stuff like Hatchet. Dimension Extreme was putting out decent stuff, but it's just right now we're in a second golden era right now. And again, I am enjoying every bit of it. And as an independent filmmaker, I made this vow that this year I'm not seeing any big budget movies in the theater. I'm going to try my hardest to support every independent movie I can. And Halloween is not a big budget movie, so I can see that because Blumhouse is putting it out. I am not a hypocrite.
Yeah.
One thing with independent movies is everybody's goal used to be, man, I got to get into a big festival like Sundance so I could find a distributor who could put my movie out, and then I'll know that I made it. Then, the big guys like Kevin Smith put out a movie on his own, did road shows. Adam Green was doing traveling shows with Digging Up the Marrow and Victor Crowling. But now we're seeing a lot of independent filmmakers like yourself who are doing self-distribution. What made you decide to go that route instead of, trying to get onto Netflix streaming, which is not that good for independent filmmakers, or on something like Amazon Prime, which again, not that good for independent filmmakers?
Unless you're me.
Well, within our genre, within the horror genre,
okay.
Amazon and Netflix is not a good move.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I had every intention of making a deal, and that's why when we did our Indiegogo campaign, we only did DVDs, because I wanted to have the option for the Blu-ray in my back pocket, so that when I found a distributor, I hadn't already put out everything for the film, and there was still something there that they could market and profit off of, and make it desirable. So that's how it all started. I knew I had to put the movie out on DVD because of Indiegogo. So we went to festivals in hopes to, gain attention for the film and kind of, find the audience, but also to, gain the attention of a distributor, which we did. We gained a lot of attention, and I had multiple offers, multiple meetings, phone meetings with people and stuff. And I just was very hesitant. I did a lot of research. I talked to a lot of other filmmakers that have been doing this longer than me, and I did a lot of searching online and getting into private groups on Facebook, where we talk about, just people's experiences with certain places. And unfortunately, over the course of that year of being in festivals and, meeting people at the shows and everything and talking to them, I didn't come across one filmmaker who had signed their movie away and ever made a profit. And a lot of these filmmakers, they made some pretty damn good movies. Their movies were in red boxes. They were in Netflix. They were in Walmart. They were in Blockbusters at one point. They were in Target. They were in FYE. They never saw a penny. And and so the situation I put myself in was I had quit my job to make the movie. Basically, my wife was the only person in the household, paying the bills, because I was so focused on getting this done. And
that was the agreement we had, like, I'm going to make the movie. I'm going to, I'll make money from the movie, it'll be fine. And so every conversation I went into with the people, talking to the distributor, I was like, listen, I need something up front, or, nobody wants you to retain the rights to your movie and keep selling it. They want to take it all. Like, they don't want you to have copies to sell and all this. And I would just tell them, like, look, there's no way I'm giving. What's that?
Or keep the rights to the characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
they want to have rights to everything.
Wes Craven didn't make money off A Nightmare on Elm Street till New Nightmare came out, and that's over 10 years.
Man. Yeah, it's crazy, and and that's what they want. They want to take everything they can, and because I had done so much work already with the marketing and going into festivals, and the barn was kind of getting a lot of exposure, I was doing a lot of the work for them already. So of course, they were really interested, because people, you could easily find it. It was being talked about a lot. So, as the time went on, I made it very clear that, look, I can't take a gamble. I need to have money up front. And a lot of people would not give money up front. There was a few, but it wasn't enough to, it wasn't enough to go, look, if I never get any money on the back end, I'm satisfied. I still had a debt for that film that I was paying. And I just started thinking, I'm like, you know what? I don't think anybody is going to push this movie as hard as I will and do the work to get it out there and recoup the money. And so I just decided that, when we put the movie out on DVD, I'd give it a shot for a year. And over the course of that year of selling it, if I didn't find anybody I wasn't interested in, I would just continue selling it myself. And I didn't find anybody. And that's why within a year of putting out the DVD, when I decided I'm not going to give away the rights or sell it or anything, we put out the Blu-ray, and then we just continued. And honestly, I think it's the best decision I made. Just because it's gut wrenching when I talk to other filmmakers and I look at their movie and I'm like, man, your movie it's beautiful. And, and it's, you could tell they put so much work into it, and to tell me that they never saw a penny, and I know they spent 2 or 3 times more than what I spent, and I recouped my money and I profited off of it. It sucks. And I tell people anymore, do you want to look successful or do you want to be successful? Because if you want to look successful, sure, sign with a distributor, have them put your stuff in a red box, have them put you in Walmart, have them plastered all over the place. Problem is that you're just one movie on their calendar year, and the next title's going to come out. They can't focus on you. They're not going to focus on you. They don't care. You're just there. You're in their catalog now. And I think a lot of filmmakers think that when a distributor picks up your movie that they're going to work 24/7 on marketing just your film, and they don't understand. I understand the business side of it, doing it myself, and it does. It sucks. It sucks for that. And so if you're totally fine with just seeing your stuff in a store and that's what you're looking for, then by all means sign a deal. If you're looking to make money from it, as far as I'm talking the indie horror scene. If you want to make money from it, sell it yourself or find somebody that is in the business that can help you. And that was probably John Strayton. He urged me when I first met him at a festival. He said, dude, whatever you do, do not sell your movie to a distributor, because he was one of the very first horror stories that I heard in person about how he made a film years ago, and he never saw a penny, and it was in everything I mentioned. And yeah, it's just a very common theme. And I've yet, and I know it almost sounds like bullshit, but I have yet to meet a filmmaker that's told me they've made a penny off of a movie they signed away. So yeah,
it's pretty true. Yeah. And everybody listening to this, I think that, I think that there's a big misunderstanding out there, particularly because, you watch Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood, and you see, all these actors and filmmakers and, all these, and then quote unquote independent guys making a bunch of movies and flying around Sundance. And I think that's a good way that Hollywood is a really good marketing machine. They keep it going, and I know that is very frustrating, especially when people, everybody's got a story to tell, and it's a great story no matter what it is. You know, sometimes, you know, it's not for everybody. Sometimes it hits, but it's still a story, and that's their story. And everybody, this business is so personal. It's so personal, but yet it's so impersonal to the people that market this stuff and the salespeople, I guess you would call them. It's weird. This business is weird.
The best
For sure.
way to put it also is, I don't have a kid right now, but I know you guys do. And Larry, no one's going to love Megan more than you do, or want to protect her and fight for her more than you do. And I don't remember your kid's name, Justin, but no one's going to love them or protect them more than you. And your wives also. But the whole thing is, when you make a piece of art, no one's going to love it as much as you. Like right now, with the film I'm working on, Hillsborough Road, Larry, I know you're part of it and you're down with it too, but you're not going to get stomach pains over the movie.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes maybe. I mean,
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do. And obviously, you know, this is really, it's our children, you know, when we put it out, and you know, but it's just, yeah, you know, Eric, you're right, you know. But now let me ask you this, Justin, how big did because everybody's like on the social media train now, how big of a part of the marketing was social media?
A large part of it. I mean, you know, honestly, you know, I don't think if I was doing this 10 years ago, I don't think it would be successful. I think the, you know, just social media being here and the ability to instantly share something and spread the word is what really drives, you know, and it's really what's helping, I think, the indie scene the most, because a lot of these films, there's films that if I didn't see somebody share it or post it, I would never hear of them. And, you know, I think that's part of why the barn sells every day, because I have new customers every single day. And I just sit there and go, where did these people come from? How did they hear it? You know, who told them about it? Where did they stumble upon it? You know, and because it's not me, you know, I'm not out there hitting up news sites and stuff. So yeah, I think it plays a huge part in it. And I think any filmmakers that aren't doing stuff with social media, they're missing out. They're missing up opportunities, you know, to get out there with the generation of people buying stuff and, you know, searching for that.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube has given you so much love. It's incredible. Like the Bloodbath and Beyond guys were one of the first reviews I saw of the barn. And that's even more what got me, you know, really wanting to see it.
And you know what? They asked me for months to see it, and I did not want to give it to them because I thought for sure they were going to rip it apart. So they were one of the last places I gave it, because I thought the last thing I need is for them to like shit on it. And you know, I just put out the DVD and have my sales drop. So when I got that back, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, nice, like good, because I was very hesitant. I kept telling people, I said, this is going to be the end of the movie, right? Like once these guys say that this sucks. And it was the opposite. So I was thankful that they dug it, you know.
If you don't know who Bloodbath and Beyond are, like, they're these YouTube movie reviewers who mainly focus on indie horror. And a lot of times with their fan base, they could make or break a movie for you. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and from the interactions I've had with them, they're all really nice guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So this year, not only did you start releasing The Barn, you released two other movies that, well, one you were a part of, 1031, and then it's crazy how things come around. The Sleeper inspired you, and now you're able to help The Sleeper. So talk a little bit before we close about 1031 and what's going on with you and The Sleeper.
Yeah, so what happened was, after Rocky Gray, he was the composer for The Barn. He's also
Rocky Gray.
He was a former member of the goth rock band Evanescence and Living Sacrifice and We're the Fallen. And that's another example of social media. He was somebody that hit me up after he saw the poster and he wanted to get involved. And you know, I was like, wow, like this guy. You know, I'd listened to Evanescence as a teenager. And so for somebody from that band to contact me and want to score my film because they thought it looked so cool, that was like, wow, this is amazing. So Rocky and I became pretty good friends after that, because we talked a lot going through the movie, and, just telling him the different sounds I wanted. Like, I want this scene to be Night of the Demons. I want this scene to sound like Fright Night, So there was a lot of like on the phone, just getting to know each other. And when it was all said and done, when we did the premiere, we brought Rocky up so he could be there with us when we showed the film, and he loved it. And he just loved the overall vibe of making, being a part of a movie, and he wanted to do it himself. So he asked myself and my DP for the barn, Zane Hirschberger, and then Johnny Holt, who is another filmmaker. He's out in, I think, Kentucky, and Brett DeJager. He did Bone Jangles, and he wanted to get us all together. Yes, yep. And he got us all together, and he wanted us all to do our own segment and make a Halloween anthology, where just all tales for Halloween. So I was like, yeah, I would love to. So, Zane and I, we live about an hour away from each other. So we worked on each other's segments, and then, Rocky did his and the other guys did theirs, and we all came together and put it together. And then Rocky put it out. He did an Indiegogo to fund it, do some funding for it. And he put it out, and it was probably about 2 months into it. He started telling me he really underestimated the workload of selling something, and the first doing a campaign, and then like after the campaign was over, actually selling it like on a website, and just keeping up with the orders. And up until that point, for like the past year, just because of the marketing with the barn and everything, a lot of people have hit me up and said, like, you should sell other people's movies. You should be your own distro because you're really good at business. And I said, I'm not doing that. Distributions have a terrible name. I'm not going to get stuck into that and all that shit. So that was my intention. And one day Rocky called me and he said, hey man, he said, I really underestimated this. I'm really busy, because he does scoring for video games and movies, and he does instruments for bands. He does different tracks for people and stuff, and he's always in and out. And he said, would you have any interest in taking over selling 1031? Now, if it would have been anybody else asking me, I would have said no. But because I know Rocky and I was involved with it, I said, okay, yeah, I'll help you out. So we made a deal for me to take a percentage of sales to handle it. And within the first month of selling stuff, I was cutting them a check we had just reordered another 1,000 movies. So it was very beneficial for me and him. And I was like, you know what, maybe this isn't a bad idea, because I'm pretty good at this. So I was like, well, I don't want to keep this under the Nevermore Production Films label, because it's not my movies, and that's my film. So I began Scream Team Releasing, and basically what I started doing was I was just focusing on independent films that I think will work with the audience that likes the barn, and with people. One, I have to enjoy the movie, and two, I have to like the person too, because I go to these conventions and I sell the stuff, I meet people, and I constantly am promoting, and I got to believe in it. So I got to believe in the project and the person. And just by some chance, social media again, somebody made a post one day a few months back, and they put a picture up of the House of the Devil, the Sleeper, and then the Barn, and they said, out of like the last so many years, these are the best 3 throwbacks to come out, in my opinion. And I chimed in on it, and I said, that's really cool, man, I appreciate it. And somebody else said, hey, my friend Justin, he made the Sleeper. Well, just a little backstory here. I tried to find Justin years ago, back when I did the barn, because I wanted him to shoot it for me, but he wasn't on social media, and I couldn't find him anywhere. There was no way to contact him. So I contacted this guy. His name was Dan, who posted on this message. And I said, so I see Justin. I'm like, I'm a big fan of the Sleeper. Do you know if he's ever going to put a Blu-ray out? And he said, I really don't know. He's like, I can ask him. And I said, I'd love to get in contact with him, if that would be possible. So he reached out to Justin, and Justin said it was fine, to give him to give me the contact information. So Justin and I had a phone call, and we talked for a few hours, and I just told him, I told him what I was doing. And I said, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I'm getting into this game of selling stuff, and I would, if you have the rights to the Sleeper, if you've got them back, I would love to put it out on a Blu-ray. And he was in the same boat as me. he decided to self-distribute the Sleeper. And so he had the rights. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy, you know, because I really thought he had sold them off and all that. And I come to find out talking to him that because he came out in 2013, I honestly think he came out early. I think the movie was before people were accepting of, you know, this throwback kick. And it didn't do well. The movie didn't sell. It didn't find an audience and everything. So he was really baffled why the barn had worked for me. And I said, well, honestly, and we said this earlier, I said, I think it has a lot to do with Stranger Things. The barn came out right around that time. You know, people's clothing was changing again. It kind of had that throwback look. People were, you know, even TV commercials now have like an 80s vibe to it. So I said, I just think I came out at the right time. I think you were ahead of it. And that's kind of the reasoning why I want to put out the Blu-ray. You know, I'd love to kind of help you find the audience that I think wasn't there years ago. So he was like, yeah, you know what, man? He's like, I'm totally down with that. He's like, it's just sitting on a hard drive collecting dust. Wow. So we ended up, you know, making a deal, and he sent me everything, and I went through and mastered all his stuff again, and did the Blu-ray authoring and all that, and we put it out, and and it's sold really, really well. Like, it's only been out, it hasn't even been out a month yet, and we've been doing really good. And so Scream Team has been pretty successful in my eyes, and you know, my whole goal is to kind of break that, you know, stigma that the distributor doesn't, you know, you don't make money from a distributor. And I tell the filmmakers, look, if you guys want to be in Walmart and you want to be here and there, then I'm not the guy to do that, because I don't go those routes. There's no money in that. But, you know, if you want to make money, you know, we're only going to sell 1,000 units at a time, you know, and then we'll reorder if it does good, you know, but I can guarantee you a constant paycheck once we start. And so like this month, even though it's only been a month, Justin will be getting a paycheck from me for the Sleeper, because we're already profitable. And I have 6 other releases coming up this year.
Wow.
So, you know, it's, yeah. So, and I'm really excited. Like, as we're talking, I'm actually building a Blu-ray right now for the August release. And, but yeah, man, it's just something that I didn't think I would ever want to get involved in is now something that has become my full-time job. And I love it, and it's great. And, you know, I'm excited to see where the future goes for myself and these future filmmakers.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, long story, but
well, no, I mean, it's a story that needs to be heard.
Yeah, that's exactly
you know?
what I was going to say. It's such an encouraging story for me too, and that's one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about, and why we had you on was how great you've done at marketing and with self-distribution. And I just want to give you an open invitation to come back anytime you want. And it looks like we're just about to run out of time. Justin, thank you so much for coming on. Larry,
thank you.
Well, yeah, actually, I'll do one better. I mean, I would love to have you back on and talk independent distribution from not only, obviously you covered a lot of it, but I think, you know, if you're willing to come back on, we can talk a little bit more about, you know, the distribution side and what filmmakers, I don't think filmmakers quite understand what it means, you know, going into it, or what's needed by the distributor.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I would, you know, I mean, I wouldn't mind having you back on maybe in the next month, whenever, because I know you're not a busy guy and all, it sounds like, you know.
Yeah.
but I would.
You're just slighting stogies with $100 bills right now and eating cheesesteak.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean,
no,
really,
I would love to.
I'd love to have you on. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, for sure, man.
We'll set up a date, and we'll keep everybody posted. And I just want to say thank you again, man, for again, you know, sharing your insight and all your education that you've gained. And I mean, we're not done by a long shot, so I can't wait to have you back on again for sure.
Well, thank you. And I just want to say, anybody who's listening that's, you know, has visited the Scream Team store and has purchased things, thank you so much for, you know, helping myself and these filmmakers get their content out there and supporting it.
And there will be a link in the description to the Scream Team store. It is awesome, and you should go on there and buy everything they have, kind of like I did, because I'm crazy like that when I'm into something. Well, everyone,
Yeah.
have a happy, safe, and healthy week or weekend whenever you get to hear this. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. See ya.